Welcome to Been There, Watched That. Check us out at beentherewatchedthat.com and on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, BTWT Pod. And we're here to review another movie. Myself, Justin, Dave, and Joe. This week is Joe's Pick, a classic movie that many people enjoy. Dave and I had both seen it. It was great to do a rewatch with someone who'd never seen it, Joe. This is from 1994, Shawshank Redemption. Tim Robbins from Howard the Duck, a previous review, and also Morgan Freeman from Now You See Me, which we also reviewed on the podcast. Go to beentherewatchthat.com. Check out some of our older reviews. Get caught up.
Yes.
I like it. So, Joe,
Yes.
about time you picked a good movie. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to throw that out there right off the bat.
About time?
About time.
Or first time in a while?
Either way. But anyway, yeah, this is very enjoyable to go back, and as Justin said, he and I have seen it. So I took the approach as a critic,
Yes.
and instead of just watching it for enjoyment. And this is one thing I'll say. I didn't know until Justin told me last week that it was, how long, 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Roughly 2.5 hours. I noticed it this time.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
For me,
I had to break it up in
settled right
segments.
into it, and it didn't feel like 2.5. It felt like around 2 to me. It flowed for me.
I think I had to break it up in segments, and that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was like, man, it's still going on. And then I looked, and I was like, I'm still a half hour from the ending, and I got stuff to do, so I have to come back. But anyway, yeah. So, Joe, you want to give us a rundown?
Yes, so Shawshank Redemption chronicles the experiences of a formerly successful banker as a prisoner in the gloomy jailhouse of Shawshank after being found guilty of a crime he did not commit. The film portrays the man's unique way of dealing with his new, torturous life. Along the way, he befriends a number of fellow prisoners, most notably a wise, long-term inmate named Red.
Yeah, it's a good buddy sort of feel to this between Red and what's the other guy's name? Andy Dufresne
Yeah.
and Red. I don't know. I guess they have a good relationship on film.
Yeah.
And it's a cool little friendship they developed in the prison, which I liked. Just reading that synopsis, Joe, that I wouldn't have liked to hear that before, because the whole thing about a crime that he didn't commit, it's been years since I've seen this. I'd kind of forgotten about that. And I liked having the impression, based on how they shot the film in the beginning, that, okay, yeah, he definitely did kill his wife and that other guy.
Yeah, it gives you a little... You're going along, then all of a sudden you get a twist that you didn't even see coming.
Because I totally forgot about the whole thing, which basically there's another prisoner in another prison saying, oh, I killed this couple one night.
Yeah, they
So,
didn't pin me for it.
Andy Dufresne was in there as an innocent man because he's telling all the other prisoners, I didn't do this. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, laughing at him.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do it either. That's that whole thing.
Yeah. Everybody's innocent. Don't you know that?
Did you remember that part of it before you started it, that he was actually innocent the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had
Yeah.
forgotten that detail, which made it cool. It made it for that little twist later to
Nice.
seem new again to
Yeah. So, Joe, what'd you think?
me. Yeah, that's the big question.
I
First
would-
time viewer.
So I took a page out of Justin's book and picked a movie that I had not seen but I wanted to see, and I think this one's going to be highly rated and justifiable.
The narration by Morgan Freeman, I mean,
Oh, it was great.
It's
And,
great.
and Justin, I have to say, last week you said that it runs along the same parallel as Forrest Gump, and when I heard that, I was thinking the comedy side. And I didn't find as many similarities on the
Right.
comedy side, but like the self-narration all the way through, very spot on with Forrest Gump. So you was correct, and I just went on the wrong path on that side.
little bit of a darker theme to this one than Forrest,
Yeah.
and little
Well, I mean, there's
Still
a lot
some
of bad
funny-
stuff in Forrest
still
Gump.
some funny
Oh,
parts.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Towards the end, especially.
Just everywhere.
yeah.
But, yeah, I don't
This
know.
is the first movie that Morgan Freeman has ever narrated.
Yeah.
And then you can see why he got so much work.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was
Oh,
going to say. The narration by Morgan Freeman was a home run.
There's
Yeah.
some funny parts just in the way he would describe
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
He added some laughs, I think, just by like the small, tiny little hammer and just That's one of the scenes that stuck out to me. That was that rooftop where they all got to drink beer at the that whole thing. Basically, there's this guard who's like a super hard-nosed guy, and Andy Dufresne's character. I mean, he was formerly a banker. He's like a financial whiz, and he overhears the guard saying that he had gotten came into some money somehow.
Yeah, his brother or brother-in-law passed away
Right.
and left him 36,000.
So he gave that guard a tip on how he could.
Well, the
keep
guard
all
was
that
complaining. He's like, "Yeah, thanks, leaving me all this money." And
Thought he's gonna
the
get
other guard's
taxed.
like, "Man, you just got $30,000." And back in that day, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, buy a new car. The government's gonna take part of it. Now buy a new car, and I gotta pay taxes on the car." And he goes, "And then what am I left with?" And one guard's like, "A new car."
Yeah,
It's like, "Yeah, right, idiot." And then I gotta pay taxes on it forever, and then changing the oil and tires, and and so he's just.
the kids will be bugging me to go for a ride all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, he's making up all these excuses why, he doesn't appreciate the guy. Give it to him. So Andy steps in and is like, "Hey, do you trust your wife?" And he goes to throw him off the building.
Do you
So-
trust your wife, sir? Yeah. Do you think she'd be faithful to you? Yeah.
Do you think she'll hamstring you?
Yeah, he gives him a tip to. You can make a one-time
Yeah.
gift to your wife, and it's totally tax-free. And he
Yeah.
said, "All I ask is 3 beers each for all the boys here on the roof."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a cool scene, because then you have Morgan Freeman later kind of narrating it as like the sunset. He's like, "There was a day in Shawshank prison where we all got to
Yeah.
sit
Didn't feel
around
like
and drink
prisoners.
beers." Yep, we were free for just a moment.
Which is true. I mean, if you're in there for life like that, I mean, he was in there like 30 some years.
And it kind of puts it all in perspective that even the simplest thing, just a bottle of beer,
Yeah.
is worth its weight in gold
Oh, yeah.
in their eyes.
Where they could just kick back and relax and be like a guys. Like, I kind of felt, he didn't say it, but I felt like they were thinking they were a group of guys that were all,
Working together.
yeah, in like a business setting,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're hired to come in here as a contract crew, and this is the end of a hard job, and, we're relaxing as buddies,
Yeah.
not inmates,
Right.
forced to do this, but as buddies.
Right.
Because he says 3 beers each for each of my coworkers, and the
Yeah.
guards kind of laugh. They're like, "Wow, that's rich. Get a load
Yeah.
of this guy.
Yeah.
You guys are prisoners, not coworkers."
Yeah, yeah. So kind of set that tone of, escaping reality for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and Red's character, Morgan Freeman,
Yeah.
his whole thing is he's like an expert at getting things. So
Yeah, yeah.
He'll smuggle cigarettes into the prison. There's a whole sort of sequence where they show like, some things coming in, and somebody will give a nod. To
Yeah, coming through the
another guy,
laundry.
like, this is the bag that has the things in it. And
Yeah.
they just get slipped in, and yeah. So there's like, that's kind of cool behind the scenes of how Red is getting whatever you need in the prison. He's got like a special raid because Andy Dufresne asked for a rock hammer.
Yeah.
He's like, it's gonna be an extra like 20% or something. It's an unusual item, and it's this tiny little hammer, and yeah, we won't spoil it yet. But he uses that for something.
It's beneficial.
Yeah. Yep.
In the end, surprise, surprise.
Yes.
So, a lot to this movie. 2.5 hours.
Yes.
A lot of what I feel like are poignant moments.
Yes.
So I asked both of you my usual question: what stood out to you? What stood out? Right now as you think back, what's one poignant scene that you're just like, okay, this is what I'll remember for this movie?
Rooftop is up there for me, but I'll try to think of another one while
Okay.
Joe goes now.
Okay, so the rooftop and then the hold on here.
That's
let me get my
interesting because I
notes.
would have never said the rooftop.
That one and I'm looking through my notes
It
here.
was cool for me because that was like the first time you see that Andy, like, he's gonna be able to like get some benefits in this prison using his smarts and stuff. That he's able
Yeah.
to kind of get on the guard's good side even for
Yeah.
just a little bit, and that's kind of a foreshadowing to all the other benefits he's gonna get later. Because
Right.
And the scene where Tommy gets shot.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
That one
I'd forgotten
I did
about that.
not see
See
that one coming at all.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten all about that one. Yeah, the main guard, the warden of the prison, he's just
Yeah,
total.
Yeah,
Bad person.
Yeah, that kind of is the first domino into
most
the
Christian
fact
man
of
in the whole prison.
Yeah.
Supposedly, he's got like scriptures on his
Everywhere.
wall and stuff. that
Yeah.
he's willing to kill people to save his own skin.
Kill people. Yeah. Embezzle money. Blackmail.
Throw people in solitary confinement, basically. just
Yep.
for-
abuse of power.
Oh yeah. It's
Right.
interesting. Huh. Well, the one that stands out to me is when he throws the pebble through the poster, and he says, "What about you, Miss Fuzzy Britches?"
Yeah.
And chucks the and they what sticks in my head is when they listen to it, ding ding ding, and rattle its way down through the pipes and stuff, and they're all like, "Huh." And then the part that sticks out to me is when Red looks, Of course, you see the warden looking at the poster, and then you see Red's head kind of pop around, and he's looking like, "What just happened there?" But that one stood out to me just because the mystery was solved.
Yes.
But in a unique way, and but I like that the word Miss Fuzzy Britches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
The old man who's released, but he's been in prison for 50 years.
Yeah,
It's
Brooks.
institutionalized, as they say, where he
Yeah.
doesn't know anything else.
Oh,
That's pretty poignant. His struggles to exist on the outside when he's
yeah,
used
because
to
you want to
being-
say you're free to do whatever, but I mean,
ends up hanging himself.
like
that
he
was rough.
said, can you imagine? You see a car once when you're little,
Right.
and then you
Now
walk
they're all
outside and it's the 60s and there's cars everywhere.
Said everyone's in a hurry now. I don't like
Yeah.
it. It's weird out here.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, for me, that's the think piece of it. Once you've been in prison so long, you're institutionalized and you can't adapt. I mean, I'm sure some people can, but it'd be so hard to adapt.
Well, I mean, anybody.
So hard to adapt.
Yeah, eventually you would adapt into the prison environment, and you just shut the
Had to.
outside world out because that's all you know.
Well, that's what I mean. It'd be hard to adapt to the outside world,
Again,
especially
yeah.
40, 50 years.
Oh yeah.
And now, I mean, can you imagine going into prison and not before
40
cell
years
phones
ago,
and then
yeah.
popping back out? Because I mean,
Yeah.
right now you'd be in the 80s,
Yeah.
which I mean, some of the 80s stuff transfers over, but if you were like from the 60s to the 2000s, wow, technology has happened at such a fast rate.
Well, that's like because I've seen. I'm trying to look up the name of the show. Oh, Making a Murderer. Have you guys watched that on Netflix?
No,
Yeah.
what is it?
Making a Murderer. It's about. It's
Huh.
It's a documentary about Stephen Avery. And long story short, he was found guilty for a crime he did not commit. Was in jail for, I think, 17 years. Got out, and as they're documenting, at this point, that's when smartphones really started to take off and all that, and
Right.
and his family goes here, and he's looking at it, and it just blows his mind.
Yeah.
But that documentary is a great one to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I could see. Yeah. I mean,
But it's that the part about the smartphone that has really nothing to do with his story. But if you watch it, Justin said you said you watched it, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Justin. I'm going to take a little sidebar here. Do you think Steven did it?
Initially, I thought no, but I've heard arguments from my friends, and I'm kind of coming around.
Have you
more.
watched both seasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm coming around more to it's a strong possibility, but there's so many big question marks too.
I'm still saying no.
Right.
I
I
think
think it might have been a neighbor or something.
I do too. And
Yeah.
I think they
That
planted
weird
it.
neighbor that had the crazy stuff on his computer, the searches he was doing.
Yeah, the nephew.
Yeah.
I think that they planted it, and then they didn't want. They had enough egg on their face from the first time they falsely accused him, so they're going to make sure he doesn't get out of prison, so they don't get egg on their face again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. Just
Well, this
that's
movie,
okay. I'm looking it up to see here. This is.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, so it says 18 years in prison for the wrongful conviction.
Yeah, it was
He
proved
was
didn't do
charged
it
in
the first time.
2005,
Yeah.
convicted in 07. But it has two different people. The attempted murder of Penny Bernstein and then murder of Teresa Halbach.
Yeah, these are two separate crimes. So the attempted murder is what he was in prison for 18 years, wrongly accused.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets out, and the other lady is found killed on his property, supposedly.
Oh, wow. So he's
And-
involved in two?
Yeah. So, but what's funny is right when this happens, he is suing the state for wrongful arrest and wrongful imprisonment, and suing them
Yeah.
for $2 million.
Hmm.
And then this all happens, and you would like it, Dave. It's definitely worth a watch. And honestly, that may be something we can just make a couple shows on. I
Slide
mean, it's
in.
very, very good.
So
Interesting.
the timeline of this movie, Andy goes into prison in 1947, and then towards the end of the movie, it's like in the 60s, mid 60s is when So I thought that movie did a pretty good job of showing the passage of time, like getting a sense of these guys have been in there for 20 years.
Yeah, they showed good aging on the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I really thought it was timely when they brought in the young guy that they, that knew about, the guy bragging it who actually committed the murder for Andy's wife. You know, that guy came in as kind of like a fresh injection of energy,
Right.
a young guy. Because all the other guys had settled into the routine, and here comes this hipster,
Yeah, it's like,
a greaser kind of look.
Yeah, eventually we'll break him down and he'll just fall in line with the rest of us.
Yep. But I thought that was a neat little segue into the passing of time for him, is having this young guy come in with, different talk, a little slang.
Well, that and Red always coming before the parole board.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely a poignant thing for me, was that whole sequence of Red. I mean, at the very beginning of the movie, he's going in and to release hearing or something to see if you've been rehabilitated. They said, oh yes, absolutely. But by the third time, he's just I don't really give a
I don't give a crap. And
he's been rejected like multiple times. Every 10 years they say, no, he's not a candidate for release. And then he finally, once he goes in there and doesn't care at all and basically tells the guy off, then they're like, approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stamp it and he's released.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, can you really blame him? He's gone in there and literally done everything he could possibly do to convince them, and he's
rehabilitated.
We never hear what Red's crime was, do we?
Yeah, murder.
Oh yeah, he does say that at one point. Yeah, same as you. He tells Andy murder.
Yeah. He was a young punk, got caught up in a bad deal.
Yeah. Box office flop.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't believe that.
Made it back later with like sales of the movie.
Well, it is the most rented movie in 1995.
Yeah.
Earned 16 million, had like a 25 million budget, so lost a ton of money initially.
And I was shocked when I found out this was actually based on a Stephen King book.
Yeah.
Because when I hear Stephen King, I'm always
Pet Cemetery.
Yes, the creeper stuff. I never would have imagined.
Well, this was an adaptation of one of his short stories.
But still, I would have never have imagined Stephen King doing something like this.
It was set in Maine.
Still.
That is impressive. It was a loser in the box office, but a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes, 9.3 on IMDb.
The highest rated movie on IMDb of all time.
Is it really?
Yes.
And it flopped at the box office.
Yes.
Wow. Whose pick was this? Yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Boy, did you ever luck out. Nah, I'm joking. But I mean, it's crazy to think this movie's so good. So it's Ted Turner bought bought whatever studio had this movie.
Yeah, Miramax.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
Or Columbia Pictures.
Columbia Pictures.
Yeah.
And played it like crazy across his cable channels.
Oh yeah.
It was the most played movie for like 5 or 6 years.
Because I remember the commercials for the Superstation TBS. I remember seeing they would always have the commercials of their movie collection, and I always remember the scene with Andy standing in the rain. I can visually remember that.
That was kind of the iconic scene. He's standing with his arms out in the rain in a creek.
I remember that. I remember nothing else, but I remember that being part of CBS's movie lineup commercial in the 90s.
Castle Rock was bought by Ted Turner, and then he played it on TNT constantly. It was an easy way to fill the hours. It was one of quintessential cable movies. By 2013, it aired on 15 different cable networks.
It's funny, just the idea of it not being appreciated at all, and people thinking, oh, it's just like a filler movie we can throw in there.
It's like a hidden
later,
gem.
like being one of the highest rated movies.
That's unreal.
Because they bought the rights from King for the story for $5,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, and several years later, Stephen King never did cash the check.
Yeah.
Several years later, after the movie came out, he actually got the check framed and mailed it to Frank Darabont with a note inscribed, "In case you ever need bail money, love, Steve."
How funny is that?
Here's a thinker for you. Originally, the plan was to cast Tom Cruise as Andy Dufresne, Harrison Ford as Red.
How could you make that work?
Yeah.
Okay, so since Justin brought it up, let's play a game of Would You Rather.
Yeah.
So who did you name?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise as Andy.
Okay. And who was the other names?
Harrison Ford as Red.
Okay.
Morgan Freeman's character.
So here's the list of potentials.
Because the story it's written, I mean, it's obvious that Red is a white guy.
Yeah. Red's an Irishman, and that's actually kind of a hidden joke.
Yeah, there's a little blurb in there that says, "Why do you call Why they call you Red? Because maybe my Irish background."
Yeah. So here's a game of Would You Rather, and for the part of Andy, here's the people that was up for the role.
I can already tell you no to every one of them.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Oh,
I love
agree.
Tim Robbins in this, so go ahead.
Yeah, Tim Robbins. I remember him from Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like the same guy.
Jeez, yeah, tell me about it. What was the timeline in between those two?
Howard the Duck came first, like 88, 89.
Okay, so he was 6 or 7 years older by then.
Yeah.
He was working hard apparently in between. Howard
Yeah,
the
he
Duck
did. He
and
must have took a class. He watched he watched the YouTube video. He was like, "All right, now I got this." But I thought his demeanor and his attitude and just the way he talked and the way he walked and his build, he's like tall and lanky and kind of Gumby like.
Yeah.
He played the banker really well with a nonchalant attitude.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect.
So would you rather for the part of Andy? Your options are Tom Cruise.
Definitely not. 100% definitely not. Whoever threw Tom Cruise's name in there, nah, they're need fired.
Tom Hanks.
No.
Kevin Costner.
Maybe Kevin Costner, but Kevin Costner's got more of a stronger deal about him, where Tim Robbins is just mousy and nerdy enough to pull this off.
So Tom Hanks, he actually turned down this role to do Forrest Gump, which I'm thankful for.
Tom Hanks has got too much comedy in him to play a...
Well, I don't know. He did a really good job in Forrest Gump.
He did, but I mean, there's a lot of funny parts in Forrest Gump.
True.
Yeah.
You almost could say, I mean, Tom Hanks could probably pull it off.
He could pull it off.
Yeah.
Not Tom Cruise, though.
No, definitely not.
Charlie Sheen was an option.
Nah, gosh, no.
Winning. Jeff Bridges.
I don't think so.
Like you said, he doesn't have the little bit of mousiness that you...
Yeah. Because they described him as being quiet, carefree, and just, slow walk. And that's Kevin Costner carries more energy, and I feel like Jeff Bridges does as well.
What about Nicolas Cage?
Definitely not.
Okay, and the last option for Andy was Johnny Depp.
No.
Not even coming off of Edward Scissorhands.
No. No. Tim Robbins nailed it. He had that nonchalant, carefree, whimsical smile. You can look at him and think that he's thinking in his own head about being somewhere else, and pulled it off.
So the other options for Red was Harrison Ford, Gene Hackman, Robert Duvall.
Maybe.
I was going to say, I think Robert Duvall would be pretty close.
He did a good job in Days of Thunder, where he had to act as a mentor and kind of a, Mr. Fix-It type guy.
Well, he did really... I also thought he did really well in Secondhand Lions.
Yes.
So, that...
Never seen that one.
Really?
Justin.
That's on my list. That is a good one. That's a... Right, in my opinion, pretty close with Shawshank. That's a very good one. Paul Newman, Robert Redford.
Nope.
Clint Eastwood.
Maybe Robert Redford, but...
What about Clint Eastwood?
No.
I couldn't see Clint Eastwood doing that. I mean, as phenomenal actor as he is, I just don't think he could pull it off.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Justin, what do you think?
Nope.
Okay, and then last and certainly not least for the role of Tommy, we only have one other option, Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Turned it down for Thelma and Louise.
But do you guys think Brad Pitt could have played
Yeah,
Tommy?
he could have played that little hipster, not little, but, played the greaser hipster guy. He could have. He pulled it off. He's kind of playful like that. Animated.
So now that we know...
I mean, look how he played in Thelma and Louise. He was a, cowboy with flair. But I thought they did good with the Tommy guy.
So let me ask you guys this. Since we now know what Hollywood was looking at potentially, do you guys see anybody that could played any of the roles better?
If you swap Morgan Freeman out, you lose that great narration voice.
Yes.
It's just so hard to...
Yeah, you basically lose the movie.
The backbone of the movie.
Yes.
And yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
want-
looking at the cast, I thought Gil Bellows played Tommy really well. You know, James Whitmore as Brooks. I thought that was perfect. I mean, you got a guy with a shorter stature, you know, shuffling around. Thought that was awesome. Clancy Brown as Captain Hadley.
the-
Perfect.
Yeah, the bad,
Perfect.
the bad guys, the warden and
Yeah.
the head guard are both like
Yeah.
spot on.
That's
spot
Bob
on.
Gunton and Clancy Brown. Yeah, I thought those were perfect.
Now you want to hear something really funny? Just complete opposites. You couldn't get more opposite if you tried. Clancy Brown
Yeah.
goes from doing this. Of course, he has stuff in between, but what he's now known for,
Yeah.
one of the voices on SpongeBob SquarePants.
No way.
Yes,
Really?
Mr. Krabs.
Would not have ever in a million years.
So it goes from Shaw. I mean, I'm not knocking. And obviously, he does very well because SpongeBob's been on for how long now? But to do a classic like this still work, and because on his IMDb, one of the things he's known for is SpongeBob SquarePants. I was like, what?
That is craziness.
Yes.
Crazy.
I thought you guys would appreciate that one to see
Yeah,
what.
that's crazy.
Huh. Well, I mean, this is. I still can't believe it tanked that bad in the box office. If you'd asked me, I'd have never, ever guessed that for such an iconic film now. So, this is my question for you. If it hadn't have been played across the cable so much and been pumped out as a video rental and become one of those movies that you see on TV a lot, do you think it would have gotten to where it is now as, you know, such a high rating on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes? Do you well, I guess, do you think they worked it into being this good of a movie, or does it stand on its own 2 feet and it was just overlooked?
I think it would have gotten to this status, but it would have taken a lot longer to get there. With streaming now available, streaming changed everything. So I think I think we
Is it being watched on stream as much now, you think?
well, probably. But I think it would have went viral online,
Yeah.
like the way Squid Games and all this new stuff's coming out. I think this
What
would
the
have.
heck is Squid Games?
It is
Is it a show?
it's a show on Netflix, and it's a
Korean.
Korean dubbed
Korean.
program. And it's about these people that are hard up for money, so they play these games
Yeah.
to try to win money.
They're approached by this evil organization that's basically people that enjoy seeing humans do like life or death
Like-
challenges. You know, you mess
Yeah,
up
literally
and
life or death.
you fall through and you die. Like people that get off on watching like a Hunger Games almost type scenario, except they're not necessarily supposed to be fighting each other, but they end up killing each other anyways and stuff. With a huge cash prize at the end.
Have you watched it, Justin?
Yep.
Is it worth watching? I mean, is it entertaining?
I think so.
Okay.
Really?
Because I started it, and Cena said she wasn't interested, so I was like, well, I'll just watch it on my own time. I just haven't
A
got
couple
back to
slow
it.
parts here and there, but overall, I mean, towards the end, the build up of the challenges that they have to do is pretty crazy.
Because
Super violent and
my first exposure to it was Facebook. I started seeing all these memes come up. It's like, I don't get it. Red light, green light, I don't care. But now it's making sense.
about 3.5 hours from us is the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, where this was shot. That's the prison they used.
Oh, the Shawshank was
Yep.
really.
It had been shuttered 3 years earlier due to inhumane living conditions, and they picked it as the filming location.
So
Yeah,
make a movie.
it's supposed to be set in Maine, like all Stephen King novels. But yeah, Mansfield, Ohio. And then the Shawshank tree out in the field got struck by lightning and has since fallen over, and they've been cutting it up and making Shawshank memorabilia out of it.
Really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the mugshot of Red that was on the paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
That
him,
was-
him as a young man.
yeah, that's actually Morgan Freeman's younger son,
Yeah,
Alfonso
Alfonso.
Freeman.
Yep.
And Alfonso actually made a cameo in the movie as a con shouting, fresh fish, we're reeling them in. We're really, we're reeling them in. And And a year later, a year after the Shawshank Redemption, he appeared as a fingerprint technician in another Morgan Freeman movie, Seven.
Really?
Yes.
The bus that Andy arrives on, full of prisoners, new prisoners coming into the prison. There's just hundreds of other prisoners, like catcalling and doing stuff to try to intimidate them and stuff. And then Red and his gang are up on like a ledge taking bets.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. Not funny really, but darkly funny that they're like, well, in prison, trying to pick who's going to be the first one to cry that night. So
Yeah.
a good way.
I
They're
thought
betting cigarettes and stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because it was the prisoners themselves walking in were so pitiful, and yet all of them were laughing about it and making bets. And then he says that Andy cost me 2 packs of smokes that night.
Yeah, that tall one there, because Red thought
A tall
Andy
drink
was
of
gonna be
water.
the one
Yeah.
that
Is
was
that what he
gonna
called him?
break.
A tall drink of water.
Yeah, I'll take the tall drink of water for 5 cigarettes. Betting on him. He's the one that's gonna cry.
And the one that actually cried, he was not part of the actual book. And he actually had no real name.
They just added that later.
Yeah, he was. But his credit in the credits is actually his character name is Fat Ass. It wasn't. He has no real name.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So how imagine that on your IMDb. So who are you?
Yeah. It's funny because he played the part well, and it was really. I do remember that scene where the next morning at breakfast they're like, "What happened to him?" He died. Doctor went home for the night, and died. And he's like, "What's his name?" And the guy immediately throws out cussing at him and being super mean.
Yeah, and
yeah, they're not afraid to just beat you with clubs as a way to just
beat you
keep
into
order or
submission.
whatever.
just to show their authority. Yeah.
7 Academy Award nominations, 1995. Best Picture, Morgan Freeman got a nod for Best Actor. Best Film Editing, Cinematography. 7 nominations, pretty good. I don't know how many they won, but looks like Tim Robbins didn't get a nod from either the Golden Globes or Academy Awards. They're more into Freeman. He got 2 nominations.
Yeah. So there's 2 movies he didn't get recognized:
Yeah.
Shawshank and Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
So Clancy Brown said he received several offers from real-life corrections officers to work with him in order to make his portrayal of Captain Hadley more realistic.
Jeez, I think they nailed it. I don't know if they needed any help.
He turned them all down because Hadley was an evil character and he didn't want to misrepresent real corrections officers.
Yeah. I could see that. Huh. Yeah. How funny. So, looking back on it now, did you guys notice how long it was at all?
What do you mean?
I had to break it up,
It just
obviously,
went-
so I noticed. But
went smoothly for me.
Well,
Joe, you being a first-time watcher, did you notice the time?
I broke it up,
Yeah.
but
Were you so into the story you didn't notice, or was it something like okay?
yeah, because started watching Monday night, and Cena and I was gonna watch half of it. Well, we got to halfway through,
Yeah.
and it's like I could finish this tonight, but we didn't because we were supposed to start to get tired, and it's like I don't want to miss something good.
Yeah.
But I could have very easily just sat and watched the
Breezed
rest
right
of
through it, not even noticed.
Yes.
Nice. What rating Cena give it? Was there any
She
part
said-
that bothered her?
Not really.
Yeah.
She said this is the best movie we have ever watched as far as this podcast goes.
She's just saying that because she has to.
No, she's usually pretty brutally honest with, especially with my picks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still can't get past the fact that it bombed at the theater. How does this movie bomb?
So here's what's crazy.
Hmm.
Despite the film's box office failure,
Yeah.
Warner Brothers shipped 320,000 rental copies to U.S. video stores. A figure a spokesperson freely admitted was out of whack with the film's performance in theaters. The film became the most rented video in 1995 and one of the highest grossing video rentals of all time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend this one on to someone else and be like, hey, I know it's long, but that's the only downside is it's long. But the story is so engaging.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done reviews on here where it's like I enjoyed it, but I probably wouldn't recommend it to people unless I knew
Yeah.
it. This is just
Yeah,
no brainer. Anybody I
yeah.
Maybe-
You could throw this at anybody and
Yeah.
they'd like it. I think.
Okay, so some of these movies we critique, give them the critique of it been a little. It would have been better if it was a little shorter. Do you guys think that there was any part we
No.
could have pulled
Gosh,
out?
no. You had to have every part of this movie in
Yeah,
it.
that's the way I felt. There was literally no.
That's a good point. I wonder how much they cut out of it.
That is good. I don't know.
Because, man, such a good story. It's so seamlessly pieced together.
Yeah, because literally what you see always refers back to what you've seen previously. So there's literally no unused. There's no filler.
Yeah.
It's all boom, 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 boom. Here's how it goes. There's no filler needed.
minor complaint from me. I thought, there's this whole thing where Andy is dropping these hints to his buddy Red that there's this little town down in Mexico. It's on the Atlantic Ocean. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna start my own little, fish tour. I'm gonna take people on fish excursions. I'm gonna have my little house. I'm just gonna go down there, retire. We got to get into this too. The way he was able to steal all the money from the bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he made off with like $300,000.
Yeah. Back then, though, you could do that.
But the very end, where Red is just coming down the beach and he happens to be working on a boat, and they have their little like embrace on the beach with the music and stuff.
Do you notice Red's hat flew off?
Yes.
Yeah. It was fine. I'm totally not knocking it but I kind of would have liked to see it where Andy had already kind of established himself a little bit, and he comes in the door of like his business or
something along
They
those
have a
lines.
little bit of
Yeah, because he's kind of like the boats. I agree with you 100% because that's
bit
what I
cheesy.
noticed this movie at the end. The boat's just pulled up on the sand and sitting there, and he's working on in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you gonna work on the boat? Not like at a dock up out of the water.
Yeah, but when you have $320,000 and living in Mexico, does it really matter?
Well, I agree wholeheartedly, but yeah, now that I think about it, I mean, boats
It
just
would've
pulled
been
up on the beach.
Cool to have them have like a little bit of an exchange.
Yeah, some sort of hey, this is where you're at.
All it was like you see Andy's face and he kind of smiles and Red smiles and they just hug.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. It works, I guess.
I didn't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the boat just being pulled up onto the beach as if it's not gonna get caught by a storm and washed away.
Red's walking down the beach with like no one around within 100 miles.
Yeah.
Then there's Andy on some boat.
Yeah.
No one around within 100 miles. Just like this weird little thing at the very end, but that's not gonna affect the rating or anything. But
Yeah.
some other 1994 movies: Pulp Fiction, Natural Born Killers, Forrest Gump, Usual Suspects. We have previously reviewed here.
Yeah.
Go check it out. Then some other Speed. That's probably a big box office one.
Yeah.
Just some context for what this was competing with and maybe why it didn't do as well as you would think it
Had
would.
some heavy competition.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Speed's a good movie. Good.
I have not
blockbuster
watched it.
movie.
I have not watched Speed.
I hate Speed.
Really?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Ace Ventura. Richie Rich.
I mean, come on,
Mask.
Speed, really?
I haven't seen it. It might not hold up, but I liked it as a kid.
Well, that might be an interesting one to do.
Dumb and Dumber. I mean,
don't
there's
think
some
so.
heavy hitters that.
Dumb and Dumber's a good one.
1994 Stargate.
Now, did you guys ever watch Dumb and Dumber, or the kind of
No.
B movie spin-off of Dumb and Dumber? I liked it better than the original.
Wow.
Huh.
So I found it a little interesting. A lot of the cast in this movie went on to do The Green Mile.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, ooh, 2 jail movies. A lot of the cast going from one to the other. I wonder if that was just coincidence or, hey, we knew how well they did with the last prison theme movie. Let's pull them in and see how well we can pull them in with this one.
Maybe you guys can clear it up for me a little bit. Like, why did money start rolling in that the corrupt warden was able to like funnel? It's because they got some because their library got some press and people were like, "Oh man, this prison's doing great things."
No, the warden, they introduced a new program where the warden could farm out the
Workers.
They allowed the
Workers,
prison
okay.
to start contracting out as a business.
That's that whole apple pie with the
Yeah, because
money
he's doing logging jobs. He's taking state road jobs. So before that, the prison labor just had to do business as volunteers. Go out and do whatever. But then they're like, all right, now the prison can start charging. So all he did was, since he had free labor, he just undercut every business's price. And then unfair business practices.
I thought a pretty awesome part of the movie was Andy, in his cleverness. He convinces the warden, like, oh, well, you don't want it to trace back to you, so let's create this fake identity of a guy. We'll get him a fake business or a driver's license and everything.
Yeah.
And we'll funnel all the money to that guy, and it won't come back to you. But then, he escapes, walks into the bank as that fake identity, takes all the money, and leaves. I mean, that was sweet.
Well, and it's funny. You get a hint of it, and again, no wasted time.
Yeah.
You get a hint of it when he's talking to Red, saying, "Here's what I did."
Yeah.
And it won't be traced back to anybody. But yet there's that ulterior motive that you literally do not know about until the end.
Yep.
In the narration, Morgan Freeman's like, that little hammer that I got for Andy, it'd take a man 400 years to tunnel out of this prison with that. Turns out it only took him 20.
Yeah.
Because at the end, he's allowed to have this big poster of like a babe in his cell.
Yeah.
And then, like he said, Dave throws the rock at it. The warden's all mad, like, where the heck is he? He's disappeared. Why isn't he in here? It goes right through, and you realize he's been tunneling behind this poster in his cell the whole time.
I thought it was neat that he was taking it out in the yard, one pocket full at a time.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was a pretty neat
There's so
scene.
many little tidbits in this movie that are just gems.
Just the little details, things you would never give a thought of. I wouldn't think of what he would do with I never even gave it a thought of. Okay, well, yeah, if he scrapes, digs out, where's that stuff's got to go somewhere, and I never would have given that a thought.
Put it in his pocket with a hole in the bottom and walk around the yard and a little bit dropping out at a time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just brilliant.
That's awesome, yeah.
So, could you guys clear something up for me?
Maybe.
I know, tall order, huh? Tommy, why did Tommy get shot other than is it because Andy was trying to get out and the warden was afraid?
Andy was valuable to the warden as long as he was in prison, but as soon as he got out, he could leak out, hey, this is what's happening with the warden, and the warden would lose his business guy.
Okay, well, that's what
the warden wanted Andy locked up forever.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you can't let Andy go. If you let Andy go, then...
Would you be willing to testify on the stand about this,
Yeah.
other guy saying he's the one that actually killed him?
Well, and he hated the warden, so, the warden knew that.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the warden to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he shot Tommy, that just sealed the deal. It was like, you're nothing but pure evil.
Yep.
And you get what you're...
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I was surprised at the end that he committed suicide.
Yeah, because when he started putting one bullet in, I thought, okay, he's going to wimp out and put...
I was thinking he was going to start shooting through the door.
Yeah, I did too, because I thought the poor person that... I thought he was going to... What they call nowadays suicide by cop. I'll shoot you so you can shoot me and kill me. I thought that's what he was going to do. Because he loaded a full chamber. It's like,
yes.
Well, why else wouldn't he load a full chamber? He's going to fight to the death.
Yep.
But
interesting.
But boy, he changed tables quickly.
Here's the only thing I didn't like. Watching this again as a critic, how in the world do you find a field out in the middle of a county all in one day?
Red on his little trip.
Yeah, you go out, there'll be a field, rock wall, a tree at the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the world do you know where to go and find this field?
Didn't give him much specific detail on where.
Andy gives really good directions. He found the rock. He found Andy in Mexico. Andy's really good with directions.
Well, I mean, I could see him finding the rock in a tree, but how do you know to get to that field, like in the middle of a county?
He did say the north.
Yeah.
Side, but yeah, that's still.
But I'm just saying, if I told you, all right, go to northern Roane County, there'll be a field, and it's going to rock wall, because Morgan Freeman had to walk through the woods to get to this field. How would you possibly track that down? And that's what bothered me. That's the only thing that really bothered me about this film was I thought about it in terms like, all right, if I gave you two directions, said, hey, go to the northern part of Roane County, and there'll be this field that has a rock wall, and at the end of that rock wall is a tree. Good luck finding that field.
Well, one thing I noticed, to me seemed like chronologically and wouldn't make sense was that, Andy escapes in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, he walks into a bank. He gets all the money.
Yeah.
As he's leaving in the morning, he says, "Oh, can you mail this for me?"
Yeah.
That goes to the newspaper, and then somehow, on the warden's desk that same morning, there's already a newspaper that's
Well,
got the story.
I don't know if that was the same morning.
Yeah, I think it time lapsed a little bit.
Couple days is what I'm assuming happened.
It might have been a week or two.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then maybe.
I didn't notice a time difference
thought
there.
all
I
that
just
was
assumed
happening
it was
the
like
same
within
day.
that week or something,
I thought that morning they realized Andy's gone, and then that same morning.
No, I
shot
think
himself
time
and all that.
passed.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that's the one time they did a time lapse and didn't really indicate that they did a time lapse. Because every other time throughout
Yeah.
the movie, they've shown you where they've done a time lapse.
Yeah.
That one they didn't.
Yeah, you're
So-
right.
Joe, can you think of anything negative to say about it?
I honestly can't, guys.
Nice. All right, well, let's rate this baby up.
Okay.
All right, mop bucket for me.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's an easy mop bucket.
All around, guys. Full on mop bucket, no
Yep.
questions asked.
Joe finally picks a winner. Thank you. Good job, Joe. Thank you.
And
The
This one-
algorithms. have
yes,
spoken.
the algorithms have spoken. And this was actually, Dave, you said this was on your list, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, it is.
I can see why.
Yep. I have nothing but good picks on my list, of course.
Now we are not going to go down that road.
So
I kind
what's
of wonder, is there anything else Tim Robbins has done that's anywhere near this level? Has he done some other really good?
he had one
acting
called
roles?
IQ that involves Albert Einstein and Meg Ryan. It had I can't remember what the guy's name was, but anyway.
I mean, he had Howard the Duck. I mean, what else
Oh,
do you need?
gosh. And he had Bull Durham. I thought he did great in Bull Durham. You guys seen Bull Durham?
I don't
Kevin
think so.
Costner, Susan Sarandon. What? Oh man.
Can I?
How do you not see Bull Durham? Well, everybody
Can
saw
I
Bull
spin
Durham.
the wheel this time, Joe? On the
Sure.
fan pick.
Really? You got the
Number
whole.
36. Yeah, I did a random number picker.
Okay, 36 is Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, I'm passing on that.
Hit it again, Justin.
30 is the next one. For
Three-
those that don't, we have a list from fans that have been sent in of just all sorts of different. Some of them looking. Some of these titles are ones we said we would never pick.
yeah.
So some of them we're just gonna shoot down. Sorry, but we're gonna hit the. We're just gonna do a random number thing. And
Because our next pick is a fan pick, so here we go. Number 30 is
three
three.
ninjas.
Yeah, Three Ninjas.
Dave is still not feeling that. All right. 93.
93 is A League of Their Own.
That's not a bad movie.
Let's put it up. Let's see what the streaming options are.
Okay. Dun, dun,
Tom
dun.
Hanks movie. Have you guys seen it?
Okay, looks like that's not
I
an
have
option.
seen it. Yeah, it would be totally new though. It's been so long.
It's been on TV so much. How the heck is it not free everywhere?
Because they make more money renting it out. So unfortunately, A League of Their Own is out.
All right.
Hit her again, Justin.
Number 56. 30 Days of Night.
56.
30 Days of Night. That sounds kind of familiar, but I'm not sure.
Oh, it's a horror thing.
Oh.
It's a 2007.
I'm not really into horror.
Me either.
46.
Fido.
116.
Boy, Justin, you're rolling right along.
I'm breezing past Fido.
Pulp Fiction.
Just seems a little too.
I've never watched it.
Have you not?
No.
Seems a little bit. I don't know.
It's pretty morbid, pretty disturbing.
81. McClintock.
Yeah, McClintock. That's John Wayne movie.
I'm yawning.
82 is the next one.
The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride.
This is a
Fairy
highly,
tale.
highly rated. It's one of the highest rated movies of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Has Andre the Giant in it.
It does.
Why wouldn't it?
Yeah. And it has the kid from the Wonder Years.
And
Is
Billy
it
Crystal.
streamable?
Yes.
Amazon Prime.
It's on Disney Plus.
Princess Bride.
Disney Plus and Amazon Prime.
I'm checking Amazon. Oh, it is. Yeah, Fred Savage.
Fred Savage. There you go.
Okay, there. So what do you guys think?
That's up to you guys. I've seen it. Been a while, but I've seen it.
Because this one's actually on my list.
Have you seen it, Joe?
Bits and pieces over the years, all because it had Andre the Giant in it. So.
No way. That's why you watched it?
Yeah. Well.
Because Andre the Giant?
Well, because I can tell you the first time I watched it,
That's funny.
I was homesick from school and I was flipping through and I just flipped it on and there was Andre the Giant. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm alright with Princess Bride.
All right.
Is that what we're going to watch?
I'm up for that.
Okay.
I've always heard it's good. I've never seen it, so.
Sweet.
You know, they actually did a Andre the Giant documentary, and Billy Crystal and Rob Reiner on there, and they talk about the movie.
Yeah.
So I've got a little trivia. I've got a little knowledge on this movie.
Okay.
All right. Tune in next week. Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. I like fan picks. Kind of gets us outside the box a little bit because I I have my movies that it's on my list that I like, and I'm sure you guys have the same.
Well, and on the fan picks, we can completely bomb it, not.
Yeah, yeah. That's the funny part. So yeah, on the fan picks you can take a little bit of risk, but I feel like with Princess Bride we're definitely not taking any risk.
No.
But that's okay. You'll have those days. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Justin, do you already have your pick for next week?
Yep.
Do you really?
Really?
I don't know what made me think of it, but something did, and I thought, oh man, Dave is gonna get it. And I threw it out there. If you guys are you familiar with Darren Brown? And yeah, this will be a good one.
Darren Brown?
Yep.
What's that? Is that the name of the movie?
He's like an illusionist. He's I don't know. It's got tons of psychology in it, so I think it'll be
Okay, cool. I'm in.
a good thing. Right up your alley.
Sweet. So, Shawshank Redemption. Heck yeah.
Certified mop bucket.
Best
Yeah,
rated
across the
one
board.
we've done, right?
Is that the best rated we've done?
I think we've had maybe one other movie that was certified malt bucket, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. All
Check
right.
out our archives to see.
Yeah, yeah. So somebody give the spiel.
Oh.
Joe, it's all you.
So for all of our news and reviews, check out our website, beentherewatchthat.com, and follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at BTWTPod. And leave us a comment. Tell us if we were spot on with our reviews or if we were completely off the wall and if Dave was completely wrong about Howard the Duck.
No.
And be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Been there, watch that. We're on all major platforms, and all of our episodes are hosted by Anchor.fm.
All right. I like it. Been there, watch that. Shawshank Redemption. Kapow. Kerpow. How about that?
And next week, Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. All right. I feel like we're on the uptick here. Now, I really enjoy that we're watching movies, not just having general conversation, but critiquing. And I really like the question of who would you replace?
Yeah.
And it's nice that Justin hadn't had a hate list for a while.
Yeah.
Well, so now I
Straight
get a little cautious because if Justin comes in without a hate list, because he had a hate list for What About Bob,
Yeah.
but still ranked it pretty high. So if he comes in without a hate list, I get a little nervous and going, okay,
Yeah.
did you really like it or did you really hate it?
Yeah, yeah.
Until I see something worse, Rick Moranis in Streets of Fire is my all-time
Hate.
hate.
Right, I'm right there with you, buddy. You're not alone in that boat.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Well, for Been There, Watch That, myself, Justin, Joe. Another successful week, and wow, what a cleanup. Home run, grand slam. Shawshank Redemption. Good job, Joe.
Thank you.
The analytics worked.
Algorithms.
Yep, worked flawlessly.
Perfect.
We'll see what happens next time. Seems like a bit of an up and down game, but we'll give it a whirl. All right, we'll be back next week with The Princess Bride. Thanks for joining us this week, and everybody have a great week, and get your Princess Bride watching going on.